Welcome to Tea with Maggie and Linda. I'm Maggie Murphy.
I'm Linda Jennings.
And we are blessed as usual to be able to come into your homes and share with you some of the nuggets that the Lord has shared with us. We appreciate running into you and hearing you say that you watched the show. That blesses us. We thank you, and we still ask you for your support in having the show go on. So, we know that everybody's struggling, but even in the struggle, if you can find it in your hearts to make a contribution to the show, we would appreciate it, because we feel blessed to be able to come to you and bring you and share with you a word from the Lord.
It is a blessing. Yeah.
So Miss
Well,
Linda,
we have a way they can support us now, but I just wanted to say you looking pretty good for an old gal.
Oh, well.
I'm telling you. Now, Maggie and I have been working on our weight, and I've lost, I think, 15 pounds, and she isn't talking.
I haven't counted.
But it feels good. And I did mine all with just laying off the carbs, the sugar and all that. But you looking pretty good, gal.
Well, thank you.
We have a way that you can help support us, especially this Christmas season. I told you that I have a brand new book out, and it's called Miracle Stories from KMVT County. We've only mentioned it a couple times before. We really haven't talked in depth because I wanted to make sure that I could tell you where you could buy it locally and where I was doing the book signings. So I'm really excited about this book. I've already heard back a few things about it,
yes,
Maggie.
I've read it, and I tell you, I enjoyed it. So I suggest you get it. I would encourage you to get it and read it. And to me, it's uplifting just to hear about some of the miracles that have taken place in other people's lives.
Yes.
And it made my day. So please buy the book, read it, and enjoy it.
Yes. Well, I'm going to be doing 2 book signings that are coming. I've got more, but the 2 I can tell you about. One, terribly excited about, at the Golden Corral. Everybody loves the trough. Be the Golden Corral the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So it's this coming Saturday. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Then you have the big shopping day, and then Saturday, the next big shopping day. And I'll be there from 4 until closing. So do all your shopping and then come by. And I'll be there, and Maggie's going to come by. And you'll be able to, I'll have miracle stories from KMVT County. I'll also have 40 days of healing devotions. Both of them wonderful books to give as gifts. And, of course, Life Within the Veil. So, Maggie, I've heard back from some folks that read the book, and some said that I had 2 that said they stayed up till the wee hours of the morning reading it, and that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple people that said they laughed and cried.
Yes.
And that's really neat. But what touched my heart the most were a couple people that said, "Powerful, Linda. Powerful," because I had really 2 purposes for this book. I don't want to sit and write anything, Maggie, unless there's a purpose for it.
Right.
And one purpose was to supersize believers' faith. It's incredible the distance we see, inconsistencies in people's faith. And I especially saw it when I was out there getting stories. You got people whose faith is down here. You got some who down up, a little bit up here. And then you've got folks that are way up here who have a supersized faith. And some of these stories, I've read a lot of books on miracles, all good.
Yeah.
But I think we have some stories in here that are a notch above. Some stories that I haven't read in other books.
Right.
And I liked that because it really broke my heart to see how many people I approached and said, "I was excited about this, Maggie. Get a chance for folks to shout it from the housetops."
Yes.
Not everybody has a chance to tell what God has done for them. This was a way. Wasn't going to cost them anything and was going to get out to a lot of people. And I'd run up and I'd say, "Well, I'm writing a book, and do you have a story of something that only God did for you?"
Yes.
Deer in the headlights.
Yes.
Huh?
And it's amazing because you probably could have written 2 or 3 books just talking to people. And I think the thing that fascinated me just a wee bit was that it said from Coweta County. So you didn't have to go abroad or any place else to get some stories. You got local stories. Let me put it that way.
And this
local
book
stories.
could be written for every county in the nation.
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing that amazed me, though, is that I could have written this whole book with just my own stories.
Yes.
And how in the world could... one of my favorite tales, I mean, it's a bad tale, but I tell it often in shock, is that I saw a gal that had, the ichthus, the Christian fish, on the back of her car. Man, I had no pride. I needed 2 more stories or something. And I went after her and I said, hey, saw the fish in the back of your, vehicle. I said, I need 2 more stories for my book. Can you give me a story of something that only God did? Huh? And she finally, I said, well, something, a miracle, something, anything. It can be financial, it can be health, it can be anything. And she said, I'll never forget, she said, well, I guess every day's a miracle. She didn't have a clue what I was talking about. Well, and I'm sitting there looking at that fish in the back of her car and had no concept of a living God that manifested himself in our lives in big ways. I couldn't believe it.
And that's why, we can't judge based on the signs.
On the
People got
stickers in the
signs,
car.
and everybody's saying I'm a Christian, but are they being a Christian?
Exactly.
And I think if you know the Lord and you've truly been walking with Him, you can just about. People I know have miracles after miracles after miracles that He has transformed in their lives.
Exactly.
And I know I do. I started thinking about it and I said, well, which one do I want to talk about?
Exactly. Exactly. And Scripture tells us that miracles, signs, and wonders will follow.
Yes.
Well, come on, y'all. If signs and wonders are not following in your life, you probably need to check where you are in God. Now, I'm not talking about whether you going to heaven or I'm not talking about that. I'm assuming these are people that have accepted Christ, going to heaven, but they're living at this level when Christ paid for this level. And I'm just, Pete Mullins and I did an interview while you were away, and we'll show it in a couple of weeks. But the thing is that we are living at such a low level, and the Muslims are trying to take over, and they've got a power of hate, a power of determination, a power of we want to die for this thing, and we have power too that was paid for on the cross. Power, the fruits of the Spirit, a power of love, peace, and joy, yes, but we have the power of the miraculous.
Right.
That we will do signs and wonders. Greater things will we do because He went to the Father. So every one of us ought to be able to write an entire book ourselves on things that God has done in the supernatural. And if we can't, we really need to step back and say, Father, talk to me. Where am I lacking in this thing? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we're at a stage that an awful lot of people that they've kind of put the supernatural aside. They don't look at things as coming in from supernatural. If I can't see it and I can't touch it, then it's that we're in a whole false state of mind, and it's unbelievable.
Exactly. Yep. And I have said a couple times it breaks my heart. I heard somebody say for the first time, and I was stunned, that America is in the post-Christian era. I was stunned. And I couldn't say it wasn't true.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we as believers, we need to shake ourselves. Do we mean this thing or not? And miracles is one of the ways that we can shine to everybody else. You slap them in the head with you're going to hell, probably ain't going to get you any place. But if they see a sign and a wonder,
yes,
and it was really, that was the second reason I wrote the book, is that we see people stand on the corner. You're going to hell if you're. Well, I don't know if they ever got anybody saved doing that. Maybe they did, but I kind of doubt it. But if they see a sign and wonder, or they hear about something, all of a sudden you've got their attention.
Yes.
And they're open to that. So what I did is there are 35 stories in here of things that only God could have done. Eye pop and wow, only God could have done. And can you see that all right? Yeah, I pop it. But at the end of it, I put a call to salvation. And I put it in the light of why would you not want to love? Why would you not want to serve a God who's so wonderful? A God who loves you so much that he wants to work signs and wonders in you and through you.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that, and I'm expecting, I've heard a lot of comments of how wonderful it was, and I got so excited in God, but now I'm waiting for the testimonies to come in.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, there is somebody in town that I use their services, and he, I think, has a Muslim background. And he really does a lot of good things for the county, and I've just had a heart for him. And the Lord put in me one day, it was one of those strong things, you knew it was God, give him the first copy. So the first book I pulled out of the box, I held for him, and he's usually someplace on Tuesday and someplace on Thursday. Well, I got the dates mixed up, not thinking about it, and I went to a certain store, and lo and behold, he was there, and I didn't think he would be there. So I had his book. And I whipped up and I went over to him and I said, I'm keeping my promise to you. And I told him I would give it to him. And you should have seen the look on his face. He was so touched.
Yeah.
And I'm just believing that through these wonderful stories of the wonder of God, that man is going to come to know Christ as his Lord and Savior.
Good possibility.
Good possibility. I'm believing that. So, listen, these two books, Miracle Stories from Coweta County and especially 40 Days of Healing Devotions, we're looking at Christmas. And there's a lot of junk we get for Christmas, Maggie. A lot of junk. These are gifts that can change somebody's life. Everybody knows somebody that's sick, and to give them a gift that they can read one devotion a day and get the healing balm of God's Word inside of them and get better. And then these wonderful miracle stories that can just, like I say, bless you,
Yes.
and just supersize your faith.
Yes.
And used as an evangelistic tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't forget, I'm going to do a book signing at Golden Corral this Saturday. That's the 30th. That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving from 4 o'clock on. And then next Saturday at Rockin' Bees, Antiques and Decor, I'll be there from 1 o'clock to about 5. So come and bless us, and this is a way you can support us. Yes. You might not be able to send $100 to us, but you can certainly come and buy a book for $10.
That's right.
And bless us and help us stay on the air. So listen, go get yourself some tea, power-packed with antioxidants, and Maggie and I'll be back in just a second.
I was born and raised in the big house, a breeder kennel. My life was a cage and concrete floors until I was rescued and given a good home. Now I'm so happy. I'm loved and cared for, but it's really hard for me to be happy when I know thousands of others are still in prison facing an uncertain fate.
What's happening?
Hey, how's it going?
If you think you can find a place in your heart and home for one of my less fortunate friends, please visit your local rescue group or animal shelter today.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to Tea with Maggie and Linda. In the first half of the show, we've been talking about miracles. And I don't know anyone that I come in contact with who knows the Lord that doesn't have something miracle in their lives to share. So stories to share. So this is our discussion this morning, and being blessed in that most of us, I dare say, have had miracles take place in our lives. And as we were mentioning earlier, if we began to just sit and think about the things that have taken place, and even to go back, some of us journal, go back and look through some of your journals and see the things that you wrote down and the things that God did in your life. And you'll just say, whoo, I could just write my own book.
Yes.
Because there's so many things, so many wonderful things he's done in my life.
Well, hopefully it'll encourage. There are also the other side that I weep over that, for you and I and folks that you know, but I've come across so many that don't have a clue of what you and I are talking about. So I'm hoping after they read this book that they'll they'll walk in a new dimension and be able to write their own book. And y'all, I'm outside my comfort zone doing this, if you will, selling, but this is a time where you can really help Maggie and I. It's a Christmas season, and so we just need to kind of drive this thing home, if you will. So remember, this Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, I'll be at the Golden Corral, 4 o'clock to closing. The next Saturday, which is the 7th, December the 7th, I'll be at Rock and Bee Antique and Decor from 1 o'clock on. The books will always be at, and you can get them now for Christmas, at the French Market in Sonoya and Noonan Health Mart, and Rock and Bee carries them. Maggie, one of the things that I was thinking about with these stories is that, there's some that really have the wow pop factor, but I also like the idea that they're real lessons in the walking out of faith. Yes. It's not just, the stories aren't all just, this is what happened, isn't it great? There's stories about what folks, how they were walking in the process of that thing happening. Yes. And one of them that I'll share with you, it's one of my stories, and I don't want to really share anybody else's, but that was just a walking out of the faith. We're animal lovers, and it was last New Year's Eve. I was sitting on the terrace. Tom was flying. I was sitting on the terrace with our 4 dogs. The weather was really lovely, and I was studying or reading or something. And I'm always counting heads with those 4 dogs, always making sure I know where all of them are. Well, the phone rang, and I went in to get it, and I opened the door and said, come on. Well, evidently I forgot that Gator, our little naked boy, who we rescued, terrible situation, loves to sit in this chair in the sun. And I thought I had them all in, but I answered the phone. It was my father in the faith. And of course, he and I, full hour on the phone, just sharing Jesus. And when I got off the phone, it was almost dark. And I thought, okay, we're past their dinner time. Mm-hmm. And so I called everybody for dinner. Everybody shows up for dinner, and old Gator's first in line. You know what I'm saying? Casey and Gator are first in line. Well, there wasn't any Gator. Mm. And so I called and nothing. And our house, it's a good size, but it's clear and it's open. Nothing's really going to hide. And so, especially a dog. So I searched every place. Door to the bedroom was shut, door downstairs shut. There are only so many, but he was not in that house. And I went into panic mode. Mm. So we're on 35 acres. We have coyotes, we have hawks, we have eagles, we have all those things that can kill something that size. So I grabbed a flashlight and I went outside with the big dog, one of the big dogs. And I searched the lake. I'm calling him, nothing. Started heading down the road with the flashlight. And in my mind, I kept hearing, I've lost him. I've lost him. And I had to, at one point, Maggie, grab a hold of that mind. And battle is always in the mind. And I had to grab a hold of that mind. And I said, Father, I can't control my mind. It's running away. Will you bypass my mind that says there's no hope, that says I have lost him, and go to my heart, which says I'm looking at you, yes, my total source. And so I headed back to the house. My mind is still saying, I've lost him. And I'm saying, God, look at my heart. We get back in the house. It's dark by now. And That's all I'm saying through the house. God, look at my heart. Look at my heart. Bypass my mind. And I went from one house to the other twice, and I was doing things. And I come back this way, and there he was sitting at that. And God had translated him. That dog was not in that house. Translated him from the outside of that house into that house, whether through the wall, through the roof, I don't know. And I looked at that, and God reminded me of my mother in the faith, who years ago was in an automobile accident. And she slammed into car slammed into her, she said something, but the car was accordioned. And she said, completely accordioned. And she said just before impact, she felt the Lord lift her through the roof of that car and set her over on the side next to a telephone pole. Yeah. And that's where they found her. Yeah. And the police said nobody survived that car at that wreck. And her husband, when he saw it, he said, I fell on my face, Linda. It was completely crushed. Yeah. Nobody got out of there alive. And so the point I'm making is I've never read in another book of miracles where God translates, and that's a scriptural term.
Yes.
But we don't seem to have faith for that. And that's what I'm talking about. I want to supersize folks' faith in what God will do.
Well, I think that that's part of the problem nowadays, again, is that we don't see. We don't look for the miracles.
Yeah.
We don't look for God to do wonderful things in our lives.
Right.
And I know just talking to people, and you begin to talk to them, and what I like is that when you begin to relate something that God has done in your life, then somehow the light bulb goes off for people, and they begin to talk to you and say, oh, but you know what? This happened to me, and then they begin to tell you the things that go on in their life. So I say, if I come to them with light, shining, and tell them what has taken place in my life, and not hold back, and not say, well, I tell them I know what God has done for me. I don't have any doubts about it. I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. My bottom line is I know that God works miracles. And I don't, so I stand on that, and I stand on his word. And so when reading the book and listening to the miracle stories, what blessed me is I said, oh, I can feel what they're feeling. Yes. I can understand what they're saying, because I know. And the most important thing that one of the most important things I learned in that reading that book is that it is things that I often say. Oftentimes when you see God in the supernatural and the miracles, oftentimes you cannot truly, the dictionary doesn't have the words to describe what you felt, how it took place. You try to put it in man's words. Yes. And it doesn't quite come out the same. But the bottom line is you know that you know that you know. Yes. And I was thinking about what you said about your mother in the faith. I remember when I had my, they call it a heart problem or whatever, and I was at my mailbox, which is, I don't know how many feet from my house. Plus there are steps on the back porch.
A lot of steps.
And all I know is that whenever took place at that mailbox, and I talked to God about it.
You fell.
I fell against the garbage can, because the garbage can was. But all I know is that I said, Lord, here I am. I don't know what's going on. Right. Nobody's around. Yeah. If I pass out here, nobody will probably see me for some period of time. I said, I don't know how you're going to do this, but I need some help. And
now, by the way, she's having a heart attack. Let's make that clear. She doesn't know it at the time.
But all I know is the next thing that I'm aware of is that I'm in my kitchen.
So you've gone all the way up that driveway?
I don't know that I walked up the driveway. I don't know that I walked up the steps. I'm telling you what happened.
I get you. You could have been translated.
All I know is I don't remember walking. I don't remember climbing the steps. All I remember is standing in my kitchen next to my refrigerator. That's what I remember. So nobody can take those things from me.
Awesome. And the neat thing that says to me is that, did you have time at that moment to say some grandiose prayer? No, you didn't. But you have lived your life every day committed to God Almighty, believe in Him for the best, believe in Him for every blessing that He has upon your life, praising Him, worshiping Him, serving Him. And when the need was there and there weren't the words to say, He did exceedingly abundantly greater than anything. Could you have thought, Lord, just translate me into the house?
No, that didn't even occur to me. What occurred to me is that I know you, Lord.
Yes.
And however you do this, it's
Yes.
okay with me.
Yes.
All I know is I am incapable of doing anything for myself at this moment. That much I knew, and I knew it would take Him. I knew that nobody else was around.
I never thought about
where I live. Nobody was home, and even if they'd have been home, I don't know, it would have taken them some time to see that I was there. But I do know for a fact, the next thing I know that I realized is that I was in my kitchen.
You could not, I don't know why I never thought about this. That's a long way from your trash can to the bottom of those stairs.
Yes.
And those are long stairs. You were not able at that point to, you couldn't have done that. Oh.
Listen,
Y'all, I'm telling you. Now,
and then I feel blessed because in the midst of all that, I had a mother and father that talked about several miracles that took place in their lives.
Yes.
So I had some knowledge that God could work miracles.
big ones.
Some knowledge. So for me to be there in this position and not trust Him,
Right.
to be able to work a miracle in my life, then that's
Right.
a problem.
Yes.
And then I know that He's worked other miracles in my life.
Yes.
So why couldn't He do this one?
You on the emergency room dead. That was a miracle. So y'all listen, this is the season of miracles
Yes.
that we think of. So be sure this Saturday, that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving at the Golden Corral at 4:00. And listen, you're not going to be able to go any place in this county and get a steak that tastes that good as much as you want to eat for the low cost of Golden Corral. So please come there this Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and Maggie and I'll be there and buy our book, Miracle Stories. It's $10. I made sure that I bought enough so we could keep that price down for you. So you remember this week, above everything else, take time to spend in His presence because He is wonderful.
Yes, He is.
Maggie and I see you next week.
I was born and raised in the big house, a breeder kennel. My life was a cage and concrete floors until I was rescued and given a good home. Now I'm so happy. I'm loved and cared for, but it's really hard for me to be happy when I know thousands of others are still in prison facing an uncertain fate.
Hey, how's it going?
If you think you can find a place in your heart and home for one of my less fortunate friends, please visit your local rescue group or animal shelter today.